Bear and banter.
एनर्जी के साथ बोलो.
Welcome to Bulls Bear and Banter. Good having all of you all here. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, not a great day for markets. You're seeing a percent lower on the Nifty, but really pain in the broader markets. Really stark. And of course, several factors. One of them being tariffs. That's a big overhang, especially where India is concerned. Even though I'm not sure as to how much it's going to impact India in a significant fashion. So yes, there's a lot of pessimism in that sense, but is it going to impact India as much? Is really the question.
I don't think so. It's going to be neutral for Indian companies. एक या दो कंपनी को छोड़ के, and even those companies have manufacturing bases in the US. So I don't think it's going to be much of an impact there.
They are talking about
auto ancillary. That's the only thing which I see, because semiconductor, pharma are some of the, and autos are some of the things which I think Trump may exempt from reciprocal, because it eventually adds to the cost in the US for the domestic industry, and which he doesn't want. So I don't think by increasing auto ancillary tariffs, he's going to increase auto, which is already in a slow lane in the US.
But then what's your reading? Why are markets then down? Because markets are smart enough to understand that. I mean, they don't need us for that.
True.
I don't think this is a result of the Trump-Modi meeting, to be honest.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Out there, I think there's a lot of noise out there, right? Because
yes,
you will hear from people saying that it is good. You'll hear from people who are saying it's neutral. And you'll hear, for example, from Manish Dangi, who says that two elephants fighting means bad news for everybody else, including India. So he's very unequivocal in his thoughts as well. So it depends on which how you see, but nobody has clarity. I think this may be well because maybe the market was held up for a day or two because it had fallen quite a bit. Maybe there was hope that some magic wand will happen, etc. Nothing's happened. You're back to losing ways. But remember, I think most people have said that now it does seem that we are close to the capitulation phase. I mean, we're almost there. But the only problem is that while we are there for the large caps and the Nifty may fall till 22, there's nothing that stops the small caps from falling a few percentage points more.
But why is that? Just because of their volatile nature, or have they run up just that much, or a little bit of both, or are valuations?
Valuations. I mean, in a good tide, when everything is working, you don't question the valuations. When the tide turns is when expensive valuations get derided. It always happens. This is a cycle.
So how should you therefore place your strategy? How should you place your bet? Should you get out of higher?
My view is that
momentum not really working at this point.
So you already have 9 months of earnings in place. Nifty earnings पूरे आ चुके हैं. I think Nifty 500 में भी 90% तो आ चुके हैं. आज और कल में आखिरी हो जाएगा Nifty 500 का earnings. If you have a portfolio, I think everyone should look at the portfolio and see what kind of earnings each of the company has given, and see what is the kind of commentary that has come in, and उसके basis पे you decide whether you want to stay put or you want to come out. It's not going to be that 30-40% growth rate, which is not going to happen. You will have to temper your growth rate, bring it down, and small caps में or kind of trajectory that we are talking about. Niraj, we were talking about कि small caps and mid caps में काफ़ी capex हो रहा है. Last year हम बात कर रहे थे. वो capex क्या अभी revenue में convert होगा? That is the question that we need to ask, because these companies have put in capex. This capex would have added 20-30% to their existing capacities in many cases if they are in the manufacturing sector. So will that lead to increase in revenues and profitability in the next 1 or 2 years when everything comes on stream? That's a question that needs to be answered. If the answer is yes, then you should stay put and look at it, because anyways you are invested at the valuation वैसे भी 30-40% नीचे आ चुके हैं.
Okay, and what are sectors you would look at this point?
Yeah, I think remember that day we did that thing about that if you had 100 rupees, where you bet 20, right, and stuff like that. It does seem that okay. Now my basic premise is this, Hersh, that let's assume that some people have some capital, okay, and they have a portfolio with a presumption that they've chosen the companies in their portfolio based on some research already done, and if they revisit the earnings commentary, etc., and stuff like that, and if all is on track, more or less on track, with maybe some misses here and there, then don't try and go hunting for the new HDFC Bank or new Bajaj Finance. HDFC Bank may be the new HDFC Bank, Bajaj Finance may be the new Bajaj Finance, but Dixon may be the new Dixon, what have you, right? In some sense. So as long as the sector is not gone out of favor, right? The leaders of the new bull market are different. So if you are a defense stock and if you are not completely convinced about the valuation multiples because the sector may be out of favor, that's separate. But otherwise, if you've chosen the stock carefully or the set of stocks carefully, and if the sector is not out of favor, cyclically not out of whack, then no harm even starting to nibble at some of the high quality names in your portfolio. Truly, this is actually the market giving you a gift. It has been proven time and again in the past.
But none of these have fallen, Niraj.
No, a lot of them have fallen.
Bajaj Finance hasn't fallen. HDFC hasn't fallen at all.
No.
HDFC has fallen to the top, but utna nahi hai, right?
No, but I'm just giving that as an example.
20% down.
Guys, let's be real.
अच्छा,
Pain is not.
कितना नीचे होना चाहिए बताओ?
20% नीचे होना चाहिए यार.
अभी कितना है?
हाथ धो
Pain
के
is not in the large caps, no. The pain is in the mid caps. So I'm saying
See, the sell-off
आपको
is-
averaging की
the sell-off in
opportunity
the-
mid cap, small cap में है.
The sell-off in the large caps or front line is happening primarily because there's a liquidity issue which is there coming in the small and mid cap. You're not able to sell at the price and the impact cost is very high for them, for these stocks. And जो भी selling अभी selling दिखा रहा है, any fund manager, if you ask them, they can only sell between 3 and 330 when the VWAP comes into play, and they have to be very close to the VWAP. So no fund manager who is holding a small and mid cap will be selling in open market because the differential is going to be very high in that sense. So the selling aa raha hai. If the fund manager has a high conviction on the small and mid cap and he wants to retain it, and there's a redemption which is coming in, he's selling the front line and large caps because he can enter them at some point in time because they will still give you a growth going forward. But small and mid cap, he doesn't want to cut with heavy losses. So that is something which is there. And I think yesterday Sandeep was talking about what, that no, he's still deploying cash because he started to. Means he used to have at one point in time very high cash, then he deployed, and again he got the money. Now again he's starting to deploy cash after 30% correction which is coming. Now if you look at the small cap fund of Sandeep Tandon which is there, I think December number में देखा, August से December 5,000 crores का गिरा है AUM, 4 to 5,000 crores का AUM गिरा है, but he's still high conviction on small and mid caps, and he's willing to deploy at this level.
Yeah, so I think when we spoke to him, he was very clear that one, for the size that he has, he said nobody can time the bottom, nor can he. Two, for the size that he has, he will never be able to buy at the bottom even if he's able to identify. So right now he thinks it's in the zone, so he's starting to buy. But remember his caveat, as was Sunil Singhana's caveat, that the pain may last for a bit. So Sunil was very unequivocally clear that next 5-7 दिन screen देखना बंद कर दो. You won't be able to do anything. Leave it alone for the next 5-7 days. We are probably in the capitulation phase. Something will happen which will make the markets realize कि अच्छा चलो अभी बहुत हो गया. At that point of time, go out and do this. Make the trend your friend. Right now, if you're buying, the trend is not your friend. It is giving you an opportunity, but it's not your friend. So don't buy from a trade perspective. But अगर आपको invest करना है 5%, 10% of your portfolio,
Plus, Niraj,
great time.
If you look at the earnings season is almost over, right? Between Feb 15th and March end,
no triggers.
no triggers, which is there.
Yeah.
There's not even the earnings trigger ki bhaiya we are on a very up cycle of earnings which is there. Nothing is there. So it's going to be a very painful consolidation phase.
Yeah, but I think what the trigger will be, interviews on our channel and any other media channel, the last 15 days of March, because that will be the commentary of
the full
how Q4 has been.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody is now hoping, right, that we have a good end to the year.
Correct.
Because Q3 also was bad, Q2 was bad. So can Q4 turn around? I think the last 15 days of March will give us that trigger.
And one more thing, maybe over the next month or so, you'll start seeing government capex orders starting to trickle through.
100%.
So capex has already started in December.
And that may start making.
No.
Already seeing it, but I'm saying more of it. Maybe.
Let's be a little realistic here. Government has started tendering December onwards. कि सबको मिल गया है, पर वो काम शुरू होते होते वो अप्रैल हो जाएगा,
बराबर है,
ठीक है। तो दिसंबर के उसमें वो स्पिल ओवर हो गया होगा। सो जो हम कह रहे हैं कि अरे कैपेक्स विल कम इन दिस ईयर, इट विल कम इन, बट ओनली द शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन 15-20 दिन वाले जो होंगे वो आएंगे। द लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन वाले जो हैं वो स्पिल ओवर हो जाएंगे नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए। और नेक्स्ट ईयर में तो वी हैव व्हाट,
नहीं स्पिल ओवर नहीं होंगे। अबे काम स्पिल ओवर हो सकता है, बट ऑर्डर विन तो आ ही जाएगा।
नहीं, ऑर्डर विन आएगा,
21% ग्रोथ फेब एंड मार्च,
रेवेन्यू नहीं आएगा ना। At the end of the day,
order book आ जाएगा,
order book आ जाएगा, revenue
Stay with us, we're going to take questions. Sorry, I'll allow you all to continue, but very quickly, one more question on macro and then we'll start going micro. When do you expect portfolio to start making money, start going green?
When they are short.
We have urban males asking this question.
Should I remove my money from the market?
No, please don't.
Don't remove money from the market. I think that is the
this is not the time. I mean,
there is ample opportunity for you to make a long term return at this point in time, because this is a correction which many were waiting for many years, many quarters actually.
Many quarters. Again, this may go deeper, by the way. I must confess, I don't think anybody right now knows the extent to which the market will go to. Monday we are going to talk to Bank of America, who are negative on the markets. So we'll try and tell you why is it that they are bearish as well. All of that, right? So nobody knows. But is this the time to take money out? No. It was, that time was there in November, December. Abhi mat becho.
Okay, done. Now, specific stocks, CDMO companies. Now, I hope we've addressed quite a few in this. So we have Vigin Dharan will take your question with regard to air quality index, but let's talk specific companies. CDMO companies. Divis, Loris, will it be affected due to them having no facility in the US? Jubilant, Piramal, wouldn't tariffs hit them a little bit more? And would business models get disrupted as a result of this entire tariff saga that's playing out?
This is what I was trying to say, that the pharma, auto and semiconductors, they may escape reciprocal tariffs, primarily because they are the ingredients for final products in the US
and essentials
basically, right? Means we are talking specialty chemicals and others, so there may not be as much of tariff there on that in these products, which is there. It's a double-edged sword for India. अगर वो टैरिफ कम करता है एक कंट्री के लिए, तो उसको बाकियों के लिए भी करना पड़ेगा, और चाइना से फिर डंपिंग शुरू हो जाएगा. तो इट्स अ डबल एज स्वॉर्ड इन दैट सेंस फॉर इंडिया if you look at it. But if your trading partner is the US, then and US wants these three industries to be safeguarded in terms of cost, then there might not be a reciprocal thing, that's my view actually.
Yeah, and healthcare in the US not getting cheaper, the way it's headed right now, it's becoming unaffordable. So I don't think that he will want to weigh in and cause any sort of medical inflation there. Which it will cause, because supply chains are skewed towards India and China, at least on certain chemicals.
Long term trend dekho, China plus one chalu hai for medical, right?
Yes.
There is no way that is getting thwarted. My limited view out here is also this, that the US, the first announcements that have come in that India will buy aircrafts or whatever it is, right? So I think what is going to happen is that the two we'll never get to know these things, but the two leaders may have decided that there are some pockets wherein you will benefit and I'll benefit if I export, and vice versa. We agree to shake hands on that.
Yeah,
that's the simplest form of diplomacy.
The Modi-Trump meet has been overshadowed by this Trump reciprocal tariff.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
But there is a huge benefit which is accruing to India, and we haven't spoken about it. The first thing is, as he said, aircrafts, right? If it comes into India, everything would be maintained by HAL, which is there. So that's positive for HAL in that sense. From a security point of view, yes, it augments India's air capacity, because India's air power is depleting, and which we spoke about yesterday as well. The second thing is about the nuclear power, modular nuclear power. They've agreed to, give parts and equipment for modular.
That is huge.
Which is private and public sector both wants to come into it. We have heard Tata Power looking at it.
Yes.
We have, maybe Adani might also come into it. You have NTPC which is looking at modular nuclear power. So this is the thing which will be the game changer going forward. It's just like a data center. अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं 3 साल मीन्स हमने 3 साल पहले बात की, अभी हम बोल रहे हैं डेटा सेंटर. मे भी 3 साल आगे जाके किसके पास मॉड्यूलर न्यूक्लियर पावर है, वो that becomes the kind of the power utility company going forward. So वो चीज है इसके अंदर.
And this will be a shift as well, so all your green energy companies, the way in which valuations work there, you might well see impact on some of that as well.
And the third thing which I want to talk about is the continuity which Trump has done basically with the alternate supply chain, India to Saudi to Israel to Italy to US, which creates this entire alternate supply chain. It's also positive for many of the port companies in India because and inland transportation companies. So it also creates an alternate supply chain जो आगे जाके काफी multiplier effect करेगा trade के लिए basically.
So net CDMO companies, I don't think they lose out. I think they will benefit significantly. I mean, it's good that we are seeing corrections. Good for the bulls.
Now we have Vigeen Dharan. Air quality index being bad in tier 1 cities, will it impact real estate companies? He's spoken about builders, insurance companies. Is that a trend that you see? Unlikely.
I mean, I don't know really. I mean, we've seen this being bad for a long time and no actions taken.
No actions.
I don't know if
or temporary action taken.
On anything,
Or temporary action taken, very short-lived. You know, the impact is not quantifiable. Great opportunity to buy maybe if at all.
But no, I don't know.
AQI के basis पे घर के prices गिरते हैं क्या? मुझे पता नहीं.
I have no way to answer this.
I haven't heard.
No, but good one. Maybe we go back and check. I mean, at least I don't have an answer to this. I mean, if either of you have, great. Otherwise, we'll come back on this.
Or people are shifting to outskirts because city center में यहाँ पर नहीं, दिल्ली की बात करो.
अच्छा,
दिल्ली क्योंकि वहाँ पर दिल्ली में तो city center में बहुत AQI बहुत है.
Okay, steel. Can steel demand start to grow if China were to turn around? Yes,
certainly.
And will steel prices go up? And therefore, what's the best way to play it?
What's your guess?
I would say steel prices will likely inch up a little bit this year. There may be a slight positive bias, but I don't think material. And
I think China is a factor.
China is obviously the biggest factor.
पर assume करो China में demand आता ही नहीं है. So I think steel prices will be
as
stable, and maybe slightly softer basically. That's what we're looking
at. At worst, slightly softer.
But we spoke to Axis Securities today, the metal analyst, and he said that the sector is pump primed for a catalyst. If the catalyst comes, he's saying stocks भाग जाएंगे.
Catalyst क्या है?
Catalyst could be China demand. Catalyst could be multiple other factors.
Safeguard duties.
जो भी है.
Safeguard duties.
But his point is that
safeguard duty demand नहीं create करता ना.
But he is
prevents dumping basically.
Prevents dumping.
But he is more bullish on non-ferrous. So he's saying in the pecking order, Hindalco Vedanta, then something else, and in steel, then JSPL, JSW, and then Tata Steel. That is his pecking order. But I just one small mention here. Study this. Study the whole Gadchiroli belt. Study the Gadchiroli belt from Devendra Fadnavis to Nitin Gadkari. Everybody's spoken about that. Lloyds has a large plant that JSW is putting in 1 lakh crores after committing to 70,000 crores in Davos. Study the Gadchiroli belt, high quality iron ore. Those companies are going to make a killing in the long term.
It requires a lot of capex. But the question is whether demand is going to be there enough for prices to go up.
Yeah, capex डाल रहे हो आप 10 साल के लिए डाल रहे हो. इस साल नहीं हुआ अगले साल होगा.
तो वो फिर long term हुआ ना ये. Long term. You're talking about natural organic growth coming in and increasing your capacity maybe twofold or something, whatever.
Okay, I'm just going to take one quick question. Diversification in US equities, tech stocks, mutual funds, would that at all be on the table at this point?
So I have a firm view on this, by the way.
Which is why
I'm an investor in the US markets.
Which is why.
Just remember, it is going to be very difficult to invest in US markets bottom up this time around in this presidency, because a lot of things that Elon Musk is doing is actually disrupting business, right? Efficiency, rules getting turned, etc. So a lot of businesses are actually very nervous about what could happen. So if you are investing in the US, if you understand those businesses very well and the political system out there very well, then go out and do it. More important to understand this time around is the US political system and the changes that happen to the rules and regulations, because they will impact businesses. Safer idea might be to do an index fund, if you will, because US exceptionalism has been there for the last 2 years. Very likely could continue.
S&P 500 ETF.
Yeah, you could do an ETF, you could do that. I mean, or you could look at some of the areas where Donald Trump may not be very ambiguous and try and pick up a winning company there, but it's going to be difficult this time around in US simply because of the volatility that this year will bring in. But yeah, I mean, great market to invest.
But tell me about the IT companies.
Indian IT?
Indian IT companies. Nifty IT has been falling ever since.
You would have a stronger view here.
I want your view. मैं तो बताऊंगा मेरा क्या है, पर IT जब से पावल का टेस्टिमनी हुआ है, IT इंडेक्स गिर रहा है.
Yeah, I mean, so not very cheap per se, but yeah, my long-term view on IT is that they've jumped over every wall of worry. The last 25 years, the best way to predict the future is to look at the history, right, and seek answers from history. Look at history. Every doomsday saying has been eclipsed. It may not be necessarily different this time around. And they don't need to hire more in order to do profits. They can imbibe AI, etc., and all of that, and still do work. I think, and great high quality franchises, great corporate governance. Always equity keeps on going lower because they keep on doing buyback after buyback after buyback. Great dividend paying companies. Brilliant sector.
Just valuations is the question. So
not just valuation. My view is that the growth thing which we were penciling in early January may be little slow.
Why early January? I spoke to an IT analyst 2 years back, and he told me tailwind for growth is amazing for the next 3 years.
January
we will double profit after tax. I know why you're saying January. I'm saying they were saying at that time, blue sky, 3 years, nothing's going to happen. And now you look at the growth numbers, they're not adding up. So
blue sky
those are
what cloud hai abhi, but my point is that I think growth is going to be there for IT, but it's going to be slower than expected. The revival that we saw because interest rates were coming down and discretionary was coming up, there could be a slowdown in that. I mean, that's what my feel is, and that's a worry which I think many of the analysts, because earnings के बाद सबने बोला अरे discretionary is coming back. Interest rate fall has allowed discretionary to come back in something. Now we are talking about maybe you will have the next cut in December. That's what some people are talking about. Yeah, एक ही cut होगा सिर्फ और एक और cut होगा इस साल. That's what they're talking about.
So we've got a few more questions. One is, how would you rate Modi's visit to the US in terms of business done? Likely, all three of us rate it positively unless someone rates it negatively. We spoke about this. Maybe you can rewind and have a quick look. Sajeet Shah, how do you rate the F-35 deal? He said beneficial to HAL. Any other Indian defense company which will benefit very quickly?
A lot. See, the thing is, F-35 also comes in with MRO in India, maintenance, everything in India. So HAL will be the one which will be the most impacted by that. But it will take 3 to 4 years before F-35 comes into play. But what it gives HAL more is the stability of technology which is coming from the US. So GE Aerospace will be giving the engines for that. You already have talks going on for the F414 engine, जिसमें 80% technology transfer होगा India को. That will be that gets speed up. The AMCA which HAL is talking about, उसके लिए भी engine जो आएगा वहीं से आएगा. So it's positive for HAL. And when I say it's positive for HAL, it also means it's positive for L&T. It's positive for many other companies which are associated with them, like Tata's or a VEM or all the small companies here. Because Niraj, one thing which I saw this time, HAL is now doing a lot of outsourcing of frames and everything to private companies, as against what I saw 2 years back. And this is the pressure which is coming to them, right? I mean, the Air Force chief's pressure saying you're not delivering me on time. They've been forced to
quite something, yeah.
It's quite something, but it's forcing them to change. They change क्योंकि HAL में ना स्क्रू का जो फोजिंग है वहाँ से लेके ऊपर तक सब कुछ वो बनाते हैं. And people inside DRDO and they said HAL के screws बनाने की जरूरत नहीं ना, बाहर से लो.
Yeah.
So, but tell me this, and last question with regard to defense, but this is again a question which struck me. A few years back, I had a conversation with someone and they said that the capacity utilization of L&T's defense vertical was sub 35%.
I think they're generous when they said 35.
So yeah, exactly.
For
so
last
ramp up,
8 quarters, I have been
this could be a big opportunity is what someone had told me 2-3 years ago. I don't know how true. You have a better grip of defense and therefore
we were talking about L&T's naval defense capabilities. That's been largely underutilized. But these programs which is coming in P15, P17, all those things, they are helping in all the Mazagon, Kochi, you have Garden Reach. If these are the nominated naval shipyards which are going to make it, a large part of that is getting outsourced to private sectors like L&T. So L&T might not be getting a full project, but they get parts of it and then they get utilized. But L&T is also now manufacturing, frames for HAL, Tejas and other stuff. Tata makes the right wing for Tata Advanced System. It's not listed, but it makes the right wing for Tejas. We have VEM, which is another industry company which is emerging, Hyderabad-based company. Almost every missile project में उसका नाम है. It's making something or others for the missiles, which is there. So there is a huge outsourcing of defense manufacturing by the defense PSUs to private sector, and that is where I think L&T. If you ask me कि क्या पूरा capital जो डाला वो utilize हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, L&T में तो नहीं हो रहा है.
Got it.
ठीक है. And L&T management also accepts the fact because they are waiting for that big order which they will get, right? So वो अभी तक आ नहीं रहा है, but वो use हो रहा है वो. So it's in that sense.
One last I think we should definitely take. It's not a question which has come to us, but it's a question that struck me that we should give viewers. One pocket which you surely avoid stroke sell, and one segment, sector, clutch of companies where you believe that you should keep your eye out on, and as part of this correction you would want to add. So one sell, one add.
I mean, I don't know about the sell because I don't think these are the levels to sell, to be honest. On add, like I said, I think one of the strongest buckets seems to be CDMO. So that seems to be a no-brainer. Energy transition seems to be a no-brainer because the stocks have corrected. But CDMO, I think. Okay, let's finish this round. I just wanted to lay out, we end this with the note that Rhythm Desai and team have written because it's a really nice observation that they made on the FPI one. But first, let's finish this.
So yours.
And then yours as well.
I'm saying that I'm very bullish on FMCG and PSU banks because they are, I think, oversell ho chuka hai udhar. Matlab, we are too much into the thing कि consumption नहीं हो रहा तो nothing is happening. It's going to happen.
That's true.
During these challenging times, what happens is the consolidation of the market which happens.
That's true.
Unorganized से organized में जाता है.
क्योंकि पैसे नहीं होते इसके लिए unorganized से organized
में जाता है. And organized is now going that sachet way or titration way where छोटे जो premium products जो हैं वो भी वो smaller packets में मिल रहे हैं. So I
don't agree यार. I think मतलब HUL को state level पे organized competition है जो मेरे हिसाब से there is a pan India player, forget HUL whoever, there is a pan India player. The competition with the pan India player, which was not there a decade ago and is now there very prevalent, is an organized smaller player in individual states, and that is where their market share is being taken away, right?
The market share, I'm not denying कि
foods for example, right? मतलब बुकाजी grow कर रहा है, गोपाल snacks grow कर रहा है कहीं पे.
हाँ, but there are other pockets where it's working, right? In that sense, personal care में कर रहा है, home
local players नहीं है. I don't know.
The point is that at same price point, if you are able to provide some of the goods to premium product to that local market, and they at least willing to try it out. So volume growth is, my view is that volume growth may come in, value itna maybe nahi aayega.
No, you understand this better, but I'm just thinking out loud.
So one is that and one is PSU bank. I feel that their assets are much better than private banks.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I forgot for a minute that I also had to answer. So, I thought I was only asking question. So, what I would surely avoid is expensive stuff at this point. Maybe I would even sell out of anything which still looks expensive. Probably a mistake that maybe you've made. You may want to relook, reassess, and migrate more towards better quality, domestic facing. And more specifically banking or real estate. We've seen sizable correction in real estate. You may want to keep that on your radar, and banking is the other place where we've been continuously saying that there is value. But outside of maybe CDMO and the like, maybe those two are pockets which you want to keep your eye out on.
Interesting. Before we end though, just this So it's a long note, but I think this one para sums it up, right? He's saying that the budget was a strong one for growth with rising capex and falling subsidy expenditure plus a slower pace of fiscal consolidation than the previous 12 months. The RBI has pivoted policy with a rate cut, commitment to liquidity, and a foot off the regulatory overburden in the financial sector. Now is the important point. It is fairly likely that credit growth turns from here, which in turn should support an acceleration in growth from where we've been over the past 2 quarters. If global cues do not surprise negatively, India should resume its outperformance to EM in the coming months. The only thing is, like everybody else is saying, it's in the coming months, it is not tomorrow.
And
Go through the next.
What is the kind of global cues we should be looking out for? Or for that matter, investors should be looking.
Yeah.
Trump एक है. मतलब Trump क्या करने वाला?
I think what will disrupt is the unknown, which as of now we can't fathom really. But
by the way, I was looking at the yen. Yen is at 153. कुछ हफ्ते पहले हम तब बात कर रहे थे 155, 657 पे था. तो it has appreciated to 153, and that's also one of the impacts which is happening. जो मनी फ्लो आउट हो रहा है ना, वो उसकी वजह से भी हो सकता है थोड़ा बहुत. I'm not saying कि पूरा उसकी वजह से, but there is a continuous which is there, and if yen is happening, this carry trade is gradually happening under the radar because Trump is overshadowing everything.
Yeah. So could be interesting times, but just stay nimble, stay light. Don't invest all your money in one go right now. Nobody knows where the markets are going in the near term. I can tell you that with full conviction. But yeah, that's it on our show.
As we wrap, market is down more than 1%.
Okay, so Nifty is down 1%, small cap is down 4%. Oh my god, pain is real. Okay, guys, I hope this has been productive. At least it's productive has been productive for me. So
it's been great for all of us. But yeah, thank you so much.
So thanks so much.
See you on Monday. 3.79%.
મજા છે સર.
મજા છે really? People who are earning salary is still okay, right? Because one time salary वैलेरी आएगी, पैसा मिलेगा डालने को. जिसका सिर्फ पोर्टफोलियो पे है बेसिस लगे पड़ी है बेचारी की.